This video is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Stay tuned until after the video to learn how you can save 10% off of your order. Some states have Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to this edition of Burnt Rubber. Got a loaded show here today. Lots of news topics and the continuation of the saga between 2311 Front Row and NASCAR. Because NASCAR has filed its response, but we'll do that at the end of this episode. But there's a lot of other stuff we got to talk about first, so let's get into it. With all this recent talk about stolen IPs, well, IPs that NASCAR is basically going to try to take complete control of with the new charter agreement, there was one team engineer that said, I'm going to give intellectual property to another team. Apparently, there was a team engineer from Joe Gibbs Racing that decided to give intellectual property to a rival team, basically car setups and all that stuff. So, according to this article on AP News, NASCAR has acknowledged it is aware of allegations that an engineer for a Cup Series team accessed proprietary information and shared it with another team. The stock series released no details about the allegations because neither team has filed a complaint with NASCAR. That's the big thing. Nobody's filed any complaints as of yet. It's obvious that it was a Joe Gibbs Racing team engineer. I don't think they've disclosed who it actually is, but he's apparently in a contract year because it says that a series spokesman confirmed to the Associated Press at Charlotte Motor Speedway over the weekend it is aware of a brewing scandal between the two teams. The engineer is in a contract year with Joe Gibbs Racing, according to executives with 6 teams who spoke with the AP on condition of anonymity because the details are considered private and have not been disclosed publicly. Joe Gibbs Racing, which still has 2 cars competing for the Cup title, declined to comment. The engineer had been exploring options with other teams as the season draws to a close. Multiple team officials told the AP on Sunday, confirming they discussed possible employment. NASCAR acknowledged to AP it has heard that one team, with no cars in the playoffs, by the way, paid the engineer cash in exchange for setup information. But until a lawsuit is filed or a complaint is lodged with NASCAR, there is nothing the series can do, raising concerns that employees will be able to hand over intellectual property to rivals without ramifications. So, basically, NASCAR's hands are tied in this situation because there hasn't been any formal complaints filed. And you would think it would be Joe Gibbs Racing that would be filing those complaints. But so far, we haven't heard hide nor hair of Joe Gibbs Racing even considering filing a complaint or even a lawsuit at this point. So, until then, there isn't really much anybody can do. So, I mean, hopefully this doesn't turn into another occasion of Spygate. I don't know if you've heard about Spygate. Look up Spygate with, I believe it was McLaren that was involved in that, the Formula One team. And they got hit with a pretty hefty fine for that shit. So look that up and you'll see what we mean by Spygate. It's a pretty infamous Formula One scandal from, I think it was like 10 to 15 years ago at this point. It's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy deal to look into. And it's a deep rabbit hole, to say the least. Are we going to see anything like this in this case? I don't know. But this is basically not going to go anywhere until JGR just finally decides to, actually file a complaint or a lawsuit. But time will tell. So, in what was a pretty surprising turn of events, Hendrick Motorsports decided to not appeal the disqualification of Alex Bowman after the Charlotte ROVAL for his car being underweight. And the reason for that is Jeff Gordon basically says in an interview that they missed it and it's on them. And he says he's embarrassed by it, quote unquote. So here's the interview, well, a portion of it, explaining, everything and why they decided to not go through with the appeal.
When we looked at all the factors, and you saw early on in that race, the 48 car launched up into the air and got into the wall, and you just look at this race in general and the amount of contact. We wanted to really inspect the car fully to see, was there enough damage or was there something that got dislodged from the car. So, NASCAR was great through the whole process. You can't really inspect much of it at the racetrack, so we weren't really sure, but they took it over the tech center, looked at it yesterday, and thoroughly examined it and didn't find anything. So, quite honestly, it's just one of those things where NASCAR has minimum pre-race, minimum post-race weights, and our teams, in order to just make the best performing race cars every weekend for our drivers, we know that we've got to stay as close to those minimums as possible. And in this case, the 48 car, they just cut it too close and missed it. And so that's on us. Pretty embarrassed by it and very disappointed after what was looking like a historical day and one of the most exciting days, that we've had at the racetrack, being a home race and everything, and celebrating in victory lane and all four, and that all got wiped away. So, we looked at all the facts, and we didn't feel like there was really anything that we felt comfortable appealing, and we're going to move on.
So yeah, it was a bit of a surprising turn of events, but you heard it from Gordon himself that they felt like they didn't have enough to make a successful appeal, so they're going to accept it as an oopsie on their part and move on. So I feel bad for Alex Bowman and his fans, because they look like they were on their way to the round of 8, and it's all for naught now. Not really much you can do about it now. So this one was pretty obvious. Other than the Alex Bowman disqualification, there were 2 other suspensions for what happened during the ROVAL race, and that was when Austin Dillon lost a wheel during the race, and I think caused the final caution of the race. And it was pretty obvious that the wheel had come off. And it was just right after a pit stop too, because you could tell from the sticker that was on the tire. So I was like, yep, there's a couple crew members that are going to be taking a little bit of a vacation. And those 2 are Joshua Thomas and Nicholas Covey of Richard Childress Racing's number 3 team. They will be serving a 2-race suspension each, which means that they're going to be out for Vegas and Homestead. But they will be allowed to return at the penultimate race at Martinsville. So, not much to really talk about there, because it was pretty obvious what happened, and it was pretty obvious what the penalty was going to be, but figured I'd let you know about that. So, let's move on to the next topic. So, I'm not really sure about this next one. Apparently, Ty Gibbs, the grandson of Joe Gibbs, is being listed as the owner of their number 54 XFinity Series team, and they have tapped Taylor Gray as their driver for 2025. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why not bring Corey Heim up to JGR and up to the XFinity Series for 2025? Because it's pretty obvious that Heim's a pretty damn good driver. Honestly, that's a good question. I don't know if it's because of the past history between Heim and Gibbs, and they got a bit of a rocky relationship. I don't know. But let's go ahead and look into the story on this one. So this is on, it's like Sports Illustrated. So Ty Gibbs to be listed as owner of the number 54 Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity car in 2025. Following Wednesday's announcement of Taylor Gray moving to the NASCAR Xfinity Series full-time in the number 54 Toyota GR Supra for Joe Gibbs Racing, Ty Gibbs raised some eyebrows with a post on Instagram stories that he shared through his personal Instagram account. In his Instagram stories post, Gibbs had a video of Gray with the following caption: "First year as 54 owner" with a finger pointing up emoji. "First year as 54 driver" with a check mark emoji. "Excited for Taylor Gray, 17." So following the Instagram story going live, Joe Gibbs Racing confirmed to Racing America on SI that the 22-year-old grandson of Joe Gibbs will indeed be the officially listed owner of the number 54 Joe Gibbs Racing entry during the 2025 NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Gibbs, who made the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs for the first time in 2024, has had a noticeable presence in the pit area for the Joe Gibbs Racing ARCA Menard Series team, which signaled that the driver was looking to take on a larger role within Joe Gibbs Racing than simply driving cars. Nepotism. The team taking the official step of naming Gibbs the owner of the number 54 entry in the NASCAR Xfinity Series echoes that expectation as well. Prior to moving to the NASCAR Cup Series full-time in 2023, Gibbs amassed 11 wins in the NASCAR Xfinity Series ranks, combined between a part-time season in 2021 and a full-time season in 2022. Gibbs scored the NASCAR Xfinity Series championship with a win at Phoenix Raceway in 2022, his 7th win of that season. Tragically, Gibbs' father and son of legendary Coach Joe Gibbs, Coy Gibbs, passed away that same night. The death of Coy Gibbs was preceded by the death of J.D. Gibbs in 2019. The pair of tragedies in the Gibbs family raised questions as to the succession plan for the Joe Gibbs Racing organization. Currently, Joe Gibbs Racing is led by owner and founder Coach Joe Gibbs, as well as co-owner Heather Gibbs, the widow of Coy Gibbs. With 214 race wins, Joe Gibbs Racing is the winningest race team in NASCAR Xfinity Series history. So, it seems like, because, Joe Gibbs, he's getting pretty old, to say the least. Hey, Siri. How old is Joe Gibbs?
Joe Gibbs is 83 years old.
There you go. So, pretty damn old. So, we don't know how much longer Joe Gibbs is going to continue to, run the day-to-day operations. So, obviously, he's going to be looking at some kind of successor, and it looks like it might be Heather Gibbs and his grandson, Ty Gibbs, might be stepping into that role. So, I guess that kind of makes sense. I'm not really a fan of the whole, nepotistic kind of thing, especially considering that I think that's the only reason why he's even in the Cup Series to begin with. So, he's not a bad driver, don't get me wrong, but, it definitely smells of nepotism, and that's just something I'm not really a big fan of. But who knows? Maybe he'll end up being a pretty damn good team owner. Like I said, only time will tell. But, that out of the way, let's move on to the next topic that we have to discuss. Let's talk a little bit of Formula One. It's kind of a minor change, but it still caused some discussion online. Formula One is dropping its fastest lap bonus point for 2025. Apparently, they've been getting a little bit sick of teams basically coming in that aren't in contention, come in, get fresh tires, and try to steal the fastest lap at the end of races. Particularly if it's like teams that have like alliances with better teams, trying to steal the extra bonus point from rivals, considering that, every point matters. So I guess Formula One has decided to drop the fastest lap bonus point for 2025. Now, for those of you that don't know, the fastest lap, the driver who gets the fastest lap in each race gets a bonus point, but only if they finish in the top 10. So they have to finish in the points as well to even earn the bonus point. So if you get fastest lap, but you're 11th or below, nobody gets a bonus point. So it's a little bit of an interesting change. It'll be interesting to see if that changes up strategies in any way. People will stop, and I'm guessing it's to stop people from, and teams from, trying to just come in on a couple laps ago, get fresh softies, and just try to tear ass around the track to get fastest lap to steal it away from a rival. I guess they want to do away with that. So, yeah, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. It is what it is. And now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. You know what it is. Arizona, sponsor me, please. So, we have the next chapter of the NASCAR antitrust lawsuit saga. So, the first hearing is November the 4th. It was originally going to be this past last Friday. Or no, it was supposed to be this past Wednesday. But NASCAR asked for it to be postponed due to Hurricane Milton, which was granted. And the first hearing is going to be on November the 4th. But now NASCAR has filed its response to the 2311 lawsuit and Front Motorsports antitrust lawsuit. And, well, needless to say, the response hasn't exactly been well received, amongst a lot of people. Because, it just speaks to an organization that is just petty as fuck. And no, I'm not talking about Richard Petty. But then again, is it really that surprising? So this was basically what they said in response, as it filed its response to the antitrust lawsuit. On October the 16th, Bob Pockris reported that in its filing in response to 2311 FRM hopes for expedited discovery, NASCAR states that NASCAR has taken steps consistent with its contractual obligations to other charter teams to plan for a season with only 32 charters. NASCAR is working on reallocating funds that plaintiffs would have received to increase prize money and other special awards for the 2025 season for the benefit of teams that timely executed 2025 charters, as well as open teams who can compete to win the increased prize money. NASCAR opens this filing with plaintiffs have filed a meritless suit against NASCAR alleging baseless antitrust claims in order to obtain commercial agreements they previously rejected and to attempt to extort more favorable contract terms. I'm sorry, what?
The fucking dumpster fire.
Try to extort more favorable terms. Isn't that called contract negotiations? And I find it kind of ironic that NASCAR is trying to say that 2311 and FRM is trying to extort NASCAR when the reality is NASCAR has been doing that fucking bullshit for years. The irony in this statement. And I'm just going to be completely honest here. If you're the type of person, if you're a fan that is still defending NASCAR after all this fucking bullshit, honestly, you might be the type of person that likes to every day to have their fucking butthole filled with some dick. Because at this point, this whole fucking thing is lunacy. Especially when you read that second tweet from Pockris. They're reallocating funds that 2311 and FRM would have received. Because they're trying to strip them of their charters. Because they don't agree with the absolute fucking bullshit that is within those charters. It's like I said numerous times, every time I reported on this. If what is in those if what is in that charter agreement is actually true, all those terms that 2311 and Front Row have basically laid out and said, yeah, this is what is in it and this is why we don't agree with it. Who in the fuck in their right mind would agree with something like that? You have to be completely fucking brain dead to willingly agree to bullshit like that. And it's obvious that NASCAR knows it's bullshit and they don't care because it does nothing but lines their fucking pockets with gold. Because they put a provision in there that states that that any teams that sign this agreement cannot sue NASCAR for antitrust violations. Hence why 2311 and FRM file this antitrust lawsuit. And it's pretty obvious that NASCAR is not going to back down, but they're playing a dangerous game here because optically, this does not look good at all. And you're going to have a lot of people looking at this and like, what the fuck are they doing? You know, and now, I mean, and they think, you know, they're going to pour as much money as they can into this, and they're going to hope that the teams fold because, you know, they're going to basically try to bleed them dry in court. But the problem is, Michael Jordan is a part of this whole consideration, and he's got fuck you money. Like, the guy is a fucking billionaire. I mean, evidently, the only way to take the fight to NASCAR is to make it a billionaire versus a billionaire type of deal. The only way to fight a billionaire is with a billionaire. I mean, the France family might be rich, but so is Michael Jordan, and he's not the type of guy to fuck around. Like, you get on his bad side, and as you see in many memes, he takes it personal. So, you know, he might be a long-time NASCAR fan, but at the same time, he's not going to tolerate their fucking bullshit. And that's exactly what's going on here. So, once again, I hope 2311 and Front Motorsports, they shove this charter agreement straight up NASCAR's ass. You know, because, I mean, the way NASCAR is doing business right now is just, it's garbage. You know, and that's without getting into all the fucking bullshit we see during the race weekends. You know? And how many times have I highlighted that fucking nonsense? So, yeah, like I said, this is a developing story. This is going to go on for a while. I mean, it's probably going to go well into 2025. So, who the fuck knows what's going to happen at this point? But, anywho, we're going to keep an eye on it. And, as usual, if there's anything new that pops up, there'll be an episode of Burnt Rubber on the way. So, this will be the final episode of the week, though, because this is Friday that this episode is going up. So, the next episode at the very latest will be Monday, or the very earliest, I should say. But we're heading into the round of 8. This coming weekend is Las Vegas. And then we have Homestead and Martinsville and then Phoenix. So only 4 races left in the 2024 NASCAR season. So, be interesting to see how this whole thing develops over the next couple months. Because this is going to go on well after the season's over and maybe even the next season. Because this is not going to be the type of court battle that's going to be won overnight. Like, this is going to be a war, to say the least. And truth be told, the fate of stock car racing as we know it is pretty much at stake, because this could change the direction of the sport. And honestly, if NASCAR wins and it stays, the same, the status quo, truth be told, I don't know if I want to continue covering this fucking bullshit, because it means that nothing's ever going to change. And at that point, what's the fucking point of even supporting this company anymore? Because they're going to think everything's okay and, all this other fucking bullshit. And the fact of the matter is, it isn't. And I'm just not going to support a company like that. So, anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of Burnt Rubber. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. See you later. Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan letting you know that tonight's video was sponsored by Reaper Apparel Company. By clicking on the affiliate link down below in the description box, you'll be able to browse through many of their different wares, such as hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and other cool items. When you place an order and you go to checkout, be sure to type in the code PackerMan and you'll be able to save 10% off of your order. Reaper Apparel Company. Apparel to die for. Hey, ladies and germs, just want to say thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and also be sure to check out my second channel, Isaac the Survivalist. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.